Hello, welcome back to Heroes Advent. This is Fritz-Ay says, and it's time for episode 2. So we just got transported to another world, transformed into a wolf, and saved by a bunny woman. Alright, let's get going. You sprung up in bed, looking around yourself before breathing a sigh of relief. That was one hell of a bad dream, but the darkness was finally gone and morning has arrived. You had finally made it through. You haphazardly tossed the covers off and hopped out of bed, ready to tackle the day ahead, only to feel your legs twisting as you fell back against the pillow. Ow, my head. You didn't feel it at first, but your legs were still rather sore, and your head was spinning from vertigo. Oh, so good to see you're awake. You had me dreadfully You turned to see who the feminine voice belonged to. It wasn't common for girls to show up in your apartment. Now, take it easy there, dear. You had a rather nasty fall. What? It was a good thing I happened by you in the forest. You stared in awe at what was before you now. It was the same bunny woman you had seen in the dream before. You shook your head in disbelief. You must be dreaming still. And if that were the case, you must have been lucid dreaming all along. Looking down at yourself, you noticed that your hands were also paws now. Not quite what you imagined your fursona having, but anything goes in dreams. You can't possibly pass this opportunity by. I'm just going to admire. It's still not polite and I wouldn't do it in my dreams. You weren't quite sure what you could even do. Just being able to see a real furry up close was more than you could ever imagine, or even dream of for that matter. Whoa, she's so beautiful. You almost immediately cover your mouth in fear of having blurted out something offensive. If dreams have ever taught you anything, it's that things tend to go bad and spiral out of control very quickly. What a terrible thing to say to a woman my age, and by one so young, too. Though the bunny lady only chuckled as she said it teasingly. Huh? That wasn't quite what you expected. But if she reacted that way, then... Ah! So it wasn't a dream? The existential dread started to sink in as you realized that all the darkness you witnessed and all of the horrifying pain you endured were real, as well as the new additions to your anatomy here. You stared down at your hands as your fur stood on end. When you realized that you now instead had those clawed paws for hands, you were still convinced you were just seeing things until after you moved them around a bit. The one before you quickly reached for your paw hands, gripping them tightly. What happened to me? Where am I? Who are you? You yelped. Your head was starting to spin again as a flood of information rendered you nauseous. It's okay. You will not come to harm here. What's going on? What did you do to me? Help! Someone help! I've been kidnapped! Okay. I think I've calmed down now. So that is how things are. That certainly is a peculiar set of circumstances. Yeah, I don't know where I am, how I got here, or how I even became like this. You motioned to your new body. This must be quite a lot for you to take in, to have your body altered so drastically. That must feel rather unfamiliar. You tested moving your limbs. It's definitely different from your human body, but there were still enough similarities to at least get a grasp on. Actually, it's not all that different from what I used to be. I could get used to this. You jumped a bit at the jarring feeling of your fluffy tail patting and brushing against your back. Well, mostly. The bunny woman gave you a concerned look as she handed you a bowl of water. Well, dear, if you have nowhere else to go, you may stay here with me, at least until we find a way to get you back to your home. She gave you a sincere smile. Thank you. I'd appreciate it. I don't know what else to do at this point. You took a sip from the water, catching a glimpse of your reflection in it. What is it? Sorry, how should I address you? Ah, just ma'am would be fine. Understood. Well, not to be ungrateful, ma'am, but who are you? Oh, I haven't introduced myself. I am called Alisa. I live in these woods. Eliza, huh? Well, thank you for saving me. There's no need to thank me. It was only fortune that placed you in my path, Oh, what would your name be? Oh, Dave, ma'am. Dave. Your parents chose it well. You caught yourself before you'd overshared that it was the name given to you at the orphanage. I believe that's enough talking for now. I've just prepared breakfast. You can come help yourself in the kitchen once you've regained your footing. I'll keep the food warm for you. Uh, all right. Thank you, Eliza. You took a long stare into the bowl of water once more, a more concentrated review of your new features. You turned your head this way and that, with a reflection mirroring your every move. You turned your head this way and that, with a reflection mirroring your every move. You noticed your ears twitching along as you looked at your muzzle from every angle. Yeah, that's definitely me in there, no doubt about it. You spent the next while exploring yourself, touching the ears on your head, weighing your tail, examining your hands and hindpaws. And a quick inspection inside your pants quickly revealed that had changed along with the rest of you. I guess there's no use in trying to deny it. I'm a furry now, and I'm nowhere near the apartment or the campus. Man, I'm hungry. Eliza said that I'd been out for 2 days now. Might as well get something to eat. I won't be able to do much on an empty stomach. Ah, you came. I was beginning to worry you wouldn't come out and eat. You can wash your hands here. Eliza stepped aside from the sink as you approached to wash your hands. Once you finished, you turned to the stove to see the bunny had served you a modest plate of food. You thanked her politely, taking the plate to eat at the dining table in the room. There was a bowl of some sort of soup or stew with an earthly color that reminded you of gravy, though the smell was surprisingly light and pleasant, much like its taste. You breathed in a sigh of relief. This was just the kind of food you could stomach in your current state. You ate alone in silence as Eliza continued to wash the dishes in the sink, as she had been doing when you walked into the kitchen. The whole environment was different from what you were used to. The loud chaos of the early morning traffic right outside your window, and the hectic sounds of your neighbors slamming doors and stomping around the apartment complex. It was nice to have a meal with birdsong that wasn't from a speaker, and eating a home-cooked meal with actual ingredients as opposed to the fast food and instant meals you and Carl had to endure. That aside, the house didn't seem anything unusual. The kitchen was well furnished and well stocked. If you had to make a guess, you'd have said that you were in someone's little getaway villa in the countryside. Your mind went back to the thought of your being kidnapped from the park again. Though seeing how awkwardly your paw is holding the spoon and how you almost smeared the soup against your muzzle twice reminded you that things mustn't have been so simple. You can have as much as you want, but don't push yourself to finish, and don't worry about the leftovers either. You feel a calming sensation as you notice Eliza giving you an affectionate pet on the head. Yes, ma'am. How are you feeling now that you've eaten? I feel slightly better, but I think I just want to go back to sleep. I see. You must still be exhausted after that ordeal. Feel free to lay back down. She took the plate back to the sink as you made your way back to the room you woke up in. This is just wild. You shook your head, still in disbelief, laying back down under the downy quilts. It's been a wild dream, but I think I'm ready to wake up now. It was definitely nicer than what I've been dreaming of. Maybe things are finally looking up. I hope I can remember what happened when I wake up in the morning. Carl probably wouldn't believe any of it otherwise. It's dark out. You can even hear the crickets chirping. This is all real, isn't it? You sat up in the bed, pressing your back into the headboard, lightly jostling the large crystal on a heavy base. The crystal erupted into a dim, incandescent light, like the desk lamp your roommate had on his nightstand. The memory of a small pile of books on his bed crosses your mind as your hand idly brushes over your pocket, feeling the lumpy and rectangular outlines pressed against your pants. Wait, I still have it with me. Your fingers dip into your pocket, pulling out your phone case and lanyard where your apartment keys and keychains hung from. I still have my phone? And it still works? You're surprised the screen wasn't the least bit scratched or cracked after the ordeal you had gone through. Battery's not for long, though. Huh? A notification? It's from Carl. I'll meet you at the mess. Sounds good. Should I take the extras, too? The more the merrier. Those messages were old. Dude, you okay? You weren't in bed this morning. Where are you? Guess you took your vacay early. Take care, man. Hit me up whenever you want to talk again. How long was I out? Could I even... Nope, messages won't send. I guess the phone got these before I fell into that pit. Might as well turn it off. Save the battery for some emergency. With the blue light of the phone gone, you're left back in the orange glow of the crystal lantern above you. I wonder if everything will be alright back home. I wonder if I'll be alright. I wonder if... So we got Carl, classes, and Lifeline. I'm gonna go with Lifeline. I can't get any signal out here in this forest. It's probably far from any cell tower I could contact. Maybe there's a town or a city nearby that does? I wonder if my cell carrier even exists out here. Or any carriers for that matter. But that won't happen if my battery dies before then. The house seems to have some electricity for the lights, but I don't recall seeing any outlets or chargers around the place. Maybe I could ask Alisa about it. If I could remember to, that is. I wonder if... What's Carl up to? I hope Carl hasn't done anything rash, like calling the police after I disappeared or something. Well, he did think that I went on vacation early, so maybe not. I don't think I could do anything about it while I'm stuck here either way. Since he thinks I'm already on vacation, maybe they'll buy me some time? I wonder if... Alright, classes? I left a lot of coursework still unfinished on my computer, and my absence is definitely going to put a dent in my already bad grades. Well, I guess it's not like they can really blame me if I've been sucked into some furry world. That is, if I can even get back somehow. I wonder if... Too late to be overthinking. Well, it won't do me any good worrying about the things beyond my control. Who knows? I might actually get a good night's sleep finally. I didn't see that thing again. Maybe the apartment was just cursed. Dave? Are you alright in there, dear? You haven't come out all day. What? Huh? I overslept. Ow. What time is it? A little half past sunrise. You've been asleep the whole day. I guess I really needed the sleep. I couldn't sleep well the past month. Ah, I'm glad to hear that at least. Was it difficult to sleep where you're from? Not particularly. I was just having to repeat this nightmare every night. It was this cloaked thing that kept chasing after me. A cloaked figure, was it? Yeah? Do you know something about it, ma'am? She shook her head dismissively, the concerned look replaced by the usual warm smile on her face. I've always heard dreams had some hidden meanings. I've never believed that much, however. I am glad that you are okay. I had begun to fear the worst when you had not stirred since you went to bed at midday. I'm sorry to have worried you, Alisa.
Worry not, Dave. It is of no consequence now. Now, come. Join me for breakfast.
Gladly, ma'am. After washing your hands, Alisa hands you your plate, joining you shortly at the dining table. As Alisa helped herself to her breakfast, you look down at your plate. You can see that she's prepared a different meal for you this time around. On the plate were 2 slices of toast, with thin slices of fried meat and egg on top. It actually quite reminded you of the breaded eggs with bacon that you'd seen before. Smells delicious. You didn't hesitate to dig in right away. This was perhaps the best breakfast you'd had for quite a while. That, and how you slept for the entire day, was probably why the dish tasted so good. You gave a satisfied smile after going through the meal quite voraciously.
I see that you have quite the appetite.
You couldn't help feeling embarrassed as Alisa chuckled. She's been eyeing you this whole time.
That's good. It means you are in better shape than the other day.
Well, your cooking is really good too. Truth be told, I've been getting by on far worse meals, so having something this good is unheard of.
Oh, you flatter me, Dave. These are just some home recipes I make once in a while.
I see. Either way, thank you for the food, ma'am.
You're welcome. Have as much as you like, too. In fact, I was wondering if you'd be willing to do a favor for me.
A favor? Sure. What is it?
I've used the last of my herbs to make dinner last night. I'd hoped you might be willing to assist me in gathering more. It would be for your sake as well.
Yeah, I should probably help. You've been so kind to me, and I haven't really done much to repay you.
My, they have raised you to be a responsible young man, I see.
Alisa shook her head, with an airy laughter escaping her.
However, I meant for your well-being. It can't be healthy being cooped up indoors for days. I had hoped you would join me and get some fresh air along the way.
She's right. I've been here for days now, and I've done nothing more than eat and sleep. Yeah, I think it would really help clear my head.
Lovely. Once we finish eating and doing the dishes, we'll head out immediately.
Okay.
We'll be picking a few herbs and wild berries and roots. Did you have spices where you're from?
Yeah, all sorts actually. But I'm not too familiar with them. We didn't cook much back in our apartment.
You shared a home with someone. A partner, perhaps?
She prodded lightly, a sly smile beneath her squinted eyes. No. Nothing like that. We just shared a room in the same apartment. While it made you embarrassed, it felt nice to have someone broach the topic like a parent would. I hope he hasn't been too worried since I came here.
You were brought here against your will. There mustn't have been an opportunity to warn him. Though I suppose there isn't a right way to describe how you came to be here either.
You're right. You stayed close to Alisa as she deftly walked the dirt paths, weaving through the surrounding forest. You kept your wits about you, scanning through the canopies of treetops, hoping to see some sign of civilization nearby. She said you were in the middle of the woods, but just how far from civilization did that put her? Do you have to get your food from foraging, ma'am?
Only herbs and spices. Most things I do grow myself.
Do you get it all from the forest? There are no stores or towns you can go to?
There is a city across the mountain range from here. It's half a day's travel by carriage.
Carriage? Not car? I guess it'd be even longer going on foot.
And more dangerous. There are many hostile animals out here.
Right. Hearing that made you a little uneasy, though you couldn't help feeling curious. Is this a furry world you're in? Then what would ferals actually look like?
Here we are. This is my favorite foraging spot. You can usually find most of what we need right in this clearing.
Alisa set down the wicker basket at her feet, signaling you to also put down the wooden pail nearby.
All right, there are 4 things we need to find here. We should make short work if we each take half the work. We'll need some flower petals, some berries, fibrous roots, and wild herbs. Which one should we get?
I think roots are more important for spices, roots and herbs. Alisa hands you a small trowel and gestures to a loamy patch in the clearing.
Each of these mounds has a fibrous root underneath. Just be careful while you dig. If you pierce the skin with the shovel, they'll spoil quickly.
You nodded and began digging. As you went deeper, a spicy and earthy scent filled your nose. Seeing how awkward it was for you to use the trowel, you decided to set it aside and started digging with your hands instead. It turned out to be quite an easy task with your new claws and scooping paws. You quickly found the tuber, carefully digging around it before plucking it out.
I should have known it would be easy for you with those strong paws.
Thanks, ma'am. It just came naturally somehow.
There's still plenty of room left in the basket. Let us continue. Which one should we get?
I say herbs. Alisa bent down and began to pick around the underbrush, her nose twitching with each rustle. You knelt down next to her, following her example, searching the grass and sniffing.
You have to be careful with these herbs. Only try to pick the ripest ones. They have a subtle scent of sea breeze.
You nodded. You haven't been to the beach or sea a whole lot in your life, but you do know what the scent is like. You both spent the while searching for herbs, sharing a laugh here and there while plucking the wrong ones from the bunch. Alisa would often explain to you about the herbs you picked up together. Though most of the information kind of went over your head, you still feel you could at least memorize the basic traits. Maybe you could put this knowledge to good use later on.
Phew. I believe this should do for now.
Huh? Will this be enough, ma'am? There are still 2 more... Huh? You stood up and stretched a bit when you realized the sun had started to set behind the tree line. You've been so engrossed in helping Alisa that you didn't notice how much time's gone by.
Yes, but it's getting late. Nocturnal predators are sure to leave their dens. We should make haste back.
Yes, ma'am. It's good to be back.
Indeed it is. You've worked hard, Dave. I'll take care of these. Why don't you take a bath? Your clothes are all dirty.
Oh no, it wouldn't feel right if I did first. It's your home. You should...
I won't hear another word. Go on. I'll bring you a change of clothes in a moment.
She took you by your paw and pulled you firmly towards the bathroom. Really? You shouldn't trouble yourself, ma'am. I can just wear the same.
Absolutely not. You've been wearing those clothes for days. They must be filthy and absolutely chafing. Now, off with them, or I'll undress and bathe you myself.
She took a threatening step towards you, as almost immediately you took off your somewhat tattered hoodies in compliance.
Good. Supper shall be ready once you're done. And don't forget to scrub behind your ears.
Once Alisa closed the door behind her as she left, the silence snapped you back to reality. Wow, that actually happened. Man, it's true what they say, you can really get used to anything. Stripping down to your bare fur, you run the water, settling in and relaxing. It was nice today, getting out after what's happened. Really helped me get my mind off things. Still, I guess I should just adapt. No use worrying about what's happening back home while I'm stuck here. I just need to stay alive for now. This is my life now. Thank you for the food, Alisa. It's been good.
You've definitely deserved it after helping me restock. A burden halved. Ah, and on the topic of halved tasks, I hope I'm not imposing on you further if I ask for your assistance again tomorrow.
Not at all. It felt nice to break out of the routine I had before. And besides, I still owe you for taking me in like this. Is something the matter, Alisa?
Ah, no, nothing at all, dear. I'm just admiring how well those clothes suit you.
Miss Alisa, I said you didn't have to go through this much trouble for me. I would have been fine with my own clothes.
It's really no bother, Dave. Those clothes haven't seen much use either way. Merely collecting dust in my armoire.
So these aren't your clothes?
Oh, goodness me, no. Those belonged to my son when he was just about your age. He's long outgrown them and is off on his own now. I'm not even sure why I kept them around. Memories, I suppose. Right. What she said piqued your curiosity, though you decided not to pry further. It simply felt rude to do so. The rest of dinner went on in silence until you both had finished. We ought to get to bed now. We've got a full day of activities to do tomorrow as well.
That's right, I'll help.
Thank you, Dave. We'll be expecting company over tomorrow.
Oh? Someone else that lives in these woods too?
Not at all. He's an old acquaintance from the city. He visits me every so often.
Alisa doesn't elaborate much more on the topic. When you move to ask, a yawn catches you mid-question.
Go to bed, dear. I'll handle the dishes.
Oh, leave this to me. I'll wash and put away the dishes while you go bathe.
All right. I'll leave it to you if you insist. Thank you, Dave.
She smiled, patting your head before making her way down the hall towards the bathroom. All right, time to do the dishes. After you finished with the task, you made your way back to the room you slept in. It was still quite jarring, but perhaps you could call this your room now. The rest of the evening was a blur. You can't remember whether you went to bed normally or just collapsed on top and fell asleep right away. You greet the next morning refreshed and raring to go. After an admittedly brief breakfast, Alisa gives you a list of tasks to be done. You both set off with what little chores need to be done around the cabin. You decide to prioritize. So we got cleaning, sorting, garden, and livestock. If you don't got food, you're not gonna live. Drawing water from the well, you assist in watering Eliza's small vegetable patch as well as watering her poultry.
Good work so far. Let's take a break now.
All right. You take a seat on the porch with Alisa, taking a long draw from the mug of cold water she poured you. Ah, that really hits the spot.
It is very rewarding.
Do you get company way out here in the woods?
Not very often. Our visitor tomorrow is the only regular visitor that I have. He usually comes this time of month with a shipment of supplies for me.
Will it be alright if I'm here? Should I...
That won't be necessary at all. In fact, I'd prefer you present when he arrives. There is something I need to discuss with you both.
Both of us?
Yes, I'm afraid I haven't been completely honest with you, Dave.
A gulp catches in your throat, coughing up as you're caught by surprise. What do you mean? The panic began to set in your gullet again.
Don't be alarmed. Please understand, it's all been for your well-being. I'll explain it tonight at dinner, I promise.
It takes a few minutes for her to finally coax you back from the brink of fear again. The atmosphere felt tense from then on as you resumed the rest of your remaining chores. An uneasiness fills your movements, no longer a pep in your step as you turn her words in your head. It's no use overthinking this either. I'm here now. Better take it as it comes. Dinner, huh? Gonna be a long few hours. Dusk arrives just in time for you both to finish your respective chores. Alisa had refused to meet your gaze since this afternoon. Even when you came in after her, she immediately sent you to wash up in the bathroom, saying she'd wash up out in the kitchen before starting dinner. Dinner itself was awkward and tense. Things didn't change much. You sat across from each other at the dining room table, and Elisa's cooking was still as delicious as before, but the dour look on her face made everything feel even worse. Are you going to tell me now?
I really wish I didn't have to.
Alisa? What have you been hiding from me? What was it from the start?
Why you're here. I've given it some thought. I believe I know why you were brought here.
You do? Then why haven't you told me yet?
Because it would put you in danger.
What do you mean?
Alisa averted her gaze. Hesitation overtook her for the first few times she wanted to speak up. Eventually, she looked to you, with a resigned sigh. There is a prophecy that has been passed around in local folklore. Our land is in crisis. A terrible evil has been stretching across the continent and threatens to engulf us all. The prophecy has foretold of this darkness, and has foretold a hero with strength from another world that would stop its spread. The evil king controlling that darkness had found you first and brought you here through foul magic. I've managed to intercept you before you were taken to his stronghold. You are not what I would call a hero by most generous descriptions. Many of our men, old and young, have given their lives to pursue this legend, hoping that such an otherworldly being was a metaphor, and that otherworldly strength was their own to achieve through heroism. And many have perished in pursuit of such a foolhardy legacy. As Alisa fell silent, the room was filled with a heavy atmosphere. It took you a moment to barely grasp part of what she just told you. That's absolutely crazy. Prophecies? Dark evils? Heroes? What? Am I really not dreaming? Oh lord, this sounds just like the plot of a bad isekai anime. Boy. Boy. Dave, calm yourself, child. Her solemn command snapped you out of your stuttery mess, even if briefly. Oh, okay. You let out a massive sigh, taking your time to regather your thoughts again. None of this makes sense, but the cloaked figure, the transformation, this world, is this for real? Alisa gave you a quizzical look as she realized something suddenly. That cloaked figure, and the darkness that swallowed you from that park. There is no doubt they are related. Had I told you the details of this sooner, your panic would only amplify. I waited for you to have calmed and acclimated to your new body before informing you. Wait, if you could interrupt whatever magic or whatever the evil king used, couldn't you just send me back? I'm afraid I can't. The king has powerful magic at his disposal. And while I may have disrupted his magic, I am no different than the average person. Average person? Everyone can use magic? Yes, to varying capacity. You press your head down against the table, feeling as if your world came crashing down again. First the craziness that was your transformation, and now prophecies and dark lords. Dave, are you all right? You look up again as she called. The concerned frown on her face made you feel bad. Yeah, I'm okay, ma'am. Wait, but what does this have to do with your guest tomorrow? Again, Alisa hesitated, averting her eyes to anything other than you. He is part of an academy. Are you going to send me away? Dave, your life will be in peril if you stay here. I will ask him to take you with him back to the city, to keep you safe. I guess I don't really have a say in this. If this is the only way to stay alive, on top of the fact I still don't know how to get back home. Well, I don't really know about the prophecy stuff, but I'm grateful that you've been looking out for my safety. So thank you, Alisa. I trust that things will make more sense to you in time, dear. She could only give you a gentle smile as you both resumed eating in silence. You make sure to thank her for the dinner afterwards, before heading back to your room for the time being. You are still restless, even though it was already late into the night. Your mind was still an entangled mess, unsure of what to make of the conversation you had at dinner. Eventually you let your drowsiness take over, when you could no longer linger on the heavy topic anymore. Alright, I'm going to save it there. So,
This has been quite a few days, and I'm still curious how an average person could interrupt a evil king's magic if he's so badass and all that stuff. But I hit it on the nail on the head. Isekai Protag. Let's go. Everybody have a nice day, and this has been Fritz-Ay Says. Ciao.